Okay, I did not see this coming. This is big. So, Connor McDavid, the, let's just say, best player in the NHL. He's number one, right? I think most people would agree with that, even though he's only got 1 point in his last 5 games. Connor McDavid is the best player in the NHL. And playing for an Edmonton Oilers team that just fired the coach and hired McDavid's old coach from Erie a decade ago, the Oilers are in a pretty precarious spot in terms of their timeline, in terms of the amount of success they've been having, in terms of the status of these guys on the team. Connor McDavid is making $12.5 million a year till the end of 2025-2026. So, he's got 2 more seasons after this current season finishes up as an Oiler. There are conversations that are floating around asking if players like McDavid, if players like Draisaitl are going to stay with Edmonton beyond their contract's expiration dates. And part of what's happening this season could be very, very contributive as to what the outcomes might actually be. Let's take a look at Reinbacher. He tweeted this out after the Oilers ended up doing their practice today. He said Connor McDavid looked pretty shell-shocked, said he woke up to a text message like everyone else yesterday, and that he didn't know it was coming. Similar sense from Draisaitl. Both said this is on the players and not the coaches. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to the way the Oilers fired Jay Woodcroft yesterday, we all kind of talked about this, but the Oilers won on Saturday night against the Seattle Kraken. They finally came back to form. Zach Hyman had a hat trick. Even though McDavid and Draisaitl didn't get any points, the team still won. Stuart Skinner had an alright game. But a big win in Seattle, a back-to-form kind of win, is not enough to save Jay Woodcroft's job. So, McDavid, coming into practice, he's looking shell-shocked. He's kind of got the eyes going on. I'm not, saying that I saw it. I'm just assuming, trying to paint a visual image for y'all through the words that I say. But Connor McDavid looks pretty shell-shocked. This is on the players, he says. Not the coach. Not the coach's fault. This is the player's fault. And when it comes to how McDavid is feeling on the inside, we had ourselves Jeff Merrick on the 32 Thoughts podcast saying this, that Connor McDavid is legitimately pissed off. He's had it, and he's legit pissed. Friedman mentions also that this will be one of the challenges for the new head coach Knobloch, is to get McDavid out of that. Now, the way that Jeff Merrick says it initially, you could debate this is like, oh, Connor McDavid is pissed off and he's angry, he's got a fire, he's gonna go out there and start dominating because he's so upset and he's pissed off. Or you could say, no, Connor McDavid is frustrated and upset at the Oilers. He's not upset at the situation where they're losing and he wants to be better. No, he's upset at the way things were handled. And Friedman replies, saying, yeah, no, that's going to be the challenge here, to get McDavid out of this frustration and back into himself. Because if you assume Connor McDavid is healthy, which a lot of people are not going to, they're going to say that he's actually hurt, but if you assume Connor McDavid is actually fully healthy and he's totally fine, 1 point in 5 games played, that's not Connor McDavid right there. That's an imposter. It's sus right here. Somebody get the alarm and blare the thing, because I was an electrical trying to fix it up, but I saw him vent. This is an imposter right here. So Connor McDavid has definitely not been himself the past few games. And if it really boils down to him just being pissed off, not just with the Oilers, but maybe with himself, with the situation, with the results on paper, this is going to be a challenge. And what I also wanted to talk about is how this plan in general, bringing in Connor McDavid's agent, bringing in his old teammate in Connor Brown, bringing in his old coach from Erie, this might actually backfire on the Oilers. This has been their plan all along. We talked about this in the video yesterday. It seems like anybody who has had some sort of a relationship with McDavid in the past is getting a job in Edmonton because they want McDavid to say, okay, it's 2026. I want to stay. I'll resign, because you got some guys here that I like. I want to play here in Edmonton, and even though I'll have the right to go elsewhere because I'll be a UFA upon my expiration, I want to stay here. But what I wanted to do is read some comments made by the Edmonton Oilers sub. These are the guys who are commenting on the post made regarding the Reinbacher tweet. McDavid looked pretty shell-shocked today, woke up to a text message, yada yada yada. Some of the first comments that are posted on here I thought were very interesting, and I wanted to read this out here for you today. Panda Bear Jelly says that I just watched McDavid's interview, and he honestly seems a bit pissed. So there you go, that kind of aligns with what Jeff Merrick said. Yeah, he's legitimately pissed off. He's had it, he's pissed. And just salt on the wound. It seems like no one but upper management thought this, firing Jay Woodcroft and hiring this new dude, was the right call. This is the reply that I think really seals the deal. This idea is one that I wanted to present on the channel because I feel that this might be the kicker. What I think is going on here is that the new boys club isn't McDavid's invention. I think it's the result of a management or owner core that is trying to woo him into staying by hiring friends and acquaintances from his past. The problem is that hockey fans are going to assume it's McDavid pulling the strings and are going to accuse him of being a prima donna. There's a pretty strong possibility that McDavid is pissed off because he thought Woody didn't deserve this, and now he's going to have to hear everyone say this new coach was hired at his behest. If anything, management might actually be driving him away by trying to court him like this. And that is a crazy idea that I did not even think about. That, hey, maybe it's not really McDavid saying, oh, hire this guy, trade for this guy, sign this guy. It's more so the team themselves saying, okay, well, we gotta keep Connor McDavid around. Let's just get everybody that worked with him in the past and try to make it seem like we're doing this only for him. This is all to set him up for the best position possible. And maybe McDavid's like, yeah, well, I see what's going on here. I didn't think you should have fired Jay Woodcroft, and now you hired this guy that everybody's going to blame on me. Like, this new coach would not have been hired if he wasn't Connor McDavid's Erie Otter coach. They weren't hiring him because he was so amazing in the AHL. Like, Jay Woodcroft had a better NHL winning percentage than this dude had in the A. So, like, obviously there's such a different prioritization here with the hire. And if you wanted to say that it's like a very human thing to want to commit to your superstar and try to get him on board and convince him to stay, when you do desperate stuff like this, it becomes a little bit easier to walk away. Like, everybody says the same thing, right? Desperation reeks, and you understand it, you feel it, it's right there. Like, we could get into the entire dating situation. Desperation out on dates when you like somebody, they could smell it off of you, right? You could smell it off of people too, even when you're not in the situation. You see somebody, you see desperation, you're like, oh, man, that guy's desperate. Like, this is the same thing. And now they're doing all this to try to keep McDavid around. Connor McDavid has every right in the world to maybe look at this and be pissed off, like, you shouldn't have fired this coach. Now you have all this other stuff that's like flooding, it's musting up the room here because it's so stinky the way you're trying to like cover everything up. Just hire all the guys that I've played for in the past. Like, that doesn't really feel like the best way to keeping a guy around. Kurt the Rigger goes out there and replies saying, I think you're exactly right. It's easy to assume that Connor McDavid is pulling the strings, but these moves reek of management completely desperate to convince McDavid to resign. It's bold, and at this moment, I don't think it's working. This is exactly what I've been afraid is happening since the Jackson hire, and this is just making it seem even more clear. Oh boy. Is Edmonton gonna lose out on McDavid? I didn't think it was really possible a few years ago, but with the way things are going now, let alone the wins and the losses, like, forget about the wins and the losses, just focus on the story here. It looks more and more like an inevitability that Connor McDavid may not actually end his career in Edmonton. We have all our talks about other guys and other players and people calling out McDavid like Sean Avery did the other day. But if Connor McDavid himself is legitimately pissed off about the way everything's been going down in Edmonton, there's no way that just going out there and hiring all his buddies from before is going to make things better. Right? So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Connor McDavid actually being pissed off about the situation? How he's got that shell shock look? How he's saying that it's not on Jay Woodcroft, that Jay Woodcroft should have been fired. It was on the players. It was their faults. Maybe he's talking about goaltending. Who really knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire idea that McDavid is actually being driven away by the Oilers because of all these hires. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.